No matter the size of your business, the need for effective content marketing is undisputed. And if you've had a hunch towards starting a podcast for your business, that hunch is for a very good reason. Simply starting a podcast for your business will take care of your entire content marketing system and allow you to put out both long and short form content on multiple platforms while only spending a couple days a month actually creating that content. Let me explain what I mean. When people first think about what a podcast is or how to make one, they think about a podcast cover art and interviewing industry experts and then distributing the audio of those interviews to all the podcast players. And that's because that's most of the indie podcasts that you find on the players. And in the case of most of these traditional audio-only podcasts, after the weekly episodes are posted, they rarely see more than a few hundred downloads per episode. And it's hard to track if the podcast is doing anything for brand recognition, lead generation, or overall business growth. And this is what happens when you look at a podcast the way that people have been looking at podcasts. But in reality, and what podcasts are trending towards, having a podcast can be the most effective way of marketing a business and completely tackling everything that you need to do to have amazing content pumped out on multiple platforms on a weekly basis. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the complete guide to smart and simple podcasting for your business that will allow you to create everything you'll need for a complete and effective content marketing system in only 2 days a month. We won't be starting ineffective podcasts that just sit on the players and give us no actual insight or metrics to measure. We're going to be creating content where the payoff or output for our effort is the highest currently possible. We got a lot to cover, so we better get started. Welcome, friend, to your complete guide to podcasting for business. I'm Studio Steve. I'm one of the instructors at the Pod Sound School, and I'm also a video and audio producer. This channel is a go-to resource for you when it comes to podcasting and content creation and marketing, so make sure to bookmark this video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so I'm a steps guy. I like steps. It can't be anything more than 7 steps, and it should be probably at least 3. So that's what I'm going to do for you in this video. We're going to keep it really simple. And we're going to divide the whole podcasting process into 3 stages. We're going to talk about show development, show production, and show workflow. The concepts and framework that I'm going to discuss with you are the same concepts that we teach with our students inside of our coaching program, Smart and Simple Podcasting. If you're interested in working with us directly inside one of our coaching programs, you can go to podcastingsmart.com/enroll. And there you can find all of the information you need to enroll in our coaching program. It is by application only, and we open enrollment on an every other month basis. So you can go to podcastingsmart.com/enroll and find out if we're open for enrollment right now. Okay, so on to step number 1, show development. And luckily for you, this part is going to be easy. And that's because you are already thinking in terms of business. No matter the size of your business, whether you have a ton of employees or you're a solopreneur, you are likely familiar with marketing terms like ICA, Ideal Customer Avatar, or UVP, Unique Value Proposition. And you also understand the value of doing market research and keyword research. And that's really what this stage is all about. You really want to look at your eventual client or customer or your prospect and really study what type of podcast they would like to listen to the most, what topics they are the most interested in, and couple that with some keyword research and maybe even surveys or anything you can do in this process to really dial down what topics that you're going to want to discuss and what you should name your show and how you're going to package your show. And then from here, you're likely in the similar boat as many of our students and clients that we work with, in that you're somewhat new to content creation. So you're kind of just getting started on all of the platforms, or maybe you're kind of spread out around the platforms and you kind of just want to start fresh with a podcast. And so if that's the case, you have this opportunity to make a very important decision on one of the 2 approaches you can take with your content. And that is, you can either be a personal brand or a company brand. There isn't a wrong or right choice. Both have pros and cons. But if I just had to choose for you, I would choose the company brand for you. And that's because that gives you more freedom in the future or even now to introduce other personalities, other faces and voices into your content so that you don't have to get stuck so rigidly in this never-ending hamster wheel that can become content creation. But all of those choices are choices that you're going to make now. You're going to create lists, just like we do with our students, a topic list, write down all the things you're interested in, all the things that you know your ICA is interested in, all of the details you can get about your ICA, and then most importantly, what's your unique value proposition? Now that you know the topics that you're going to discuss, how can you bring your unique viewpoint to the table to make it even that much more interesting? And that's it for stage 1. Now, stage 2, show production. Here in tradition with Smart and Simple Podcasting, we're gonna keep it smart and simple. We're not gonna overdo the production. We're not gonna get the fanciest equipment in the world. And we're just going to start with a USB microphone. And my top recommendation for that is the Shure MV7. If you need something a little less expensive than that, then I would also recommend the Samson Q2U. Both of those links and all of the links I will discuss in this video are in the description box below. You will then take that USB microphone, plug it into your computer, and then you're gonna start by using the most simple tools or apps for the recording, editing, and the production of the podcast. And so first, for remote recording, connecting with your guests remotely, I would recommend Riverside FM or Squadcast FM for that. And then when it comes to editing your podcast and recording your podcast, I would first recommend Descript because I think it's the most intuitive, the easiest to use. But if you need a digital audio workstation with more features, then Reaper would be my go-to recommendation for that. Again, links in the thing below. Now, here in the production is where you need to make the decision whether you're going to come out of the gates with a video podcast or if you're going to start with just an audio podcast. If you're like many of our students and you're in that boat of being new to content creation, then what we like to do with our students is actually start them off with an audio podcast only, get a trailer recorded, get a first few handful of episodes recorded, because getting in front of a microphone is a lot less intimidating than getting in front of a camera. And it's a great first step into content creation, another one of the huge benefits of starting a podcast. But you can make that decision because one way or another, the eventual place that you're going to get to is by also turning on a camera when you do your podcasting thing. And if you decide to start with a camera, which I highly recommend, you're going to need a camera and you're also going to need some inexpensive lighting. I've left a link of my favorite, most affordable video production cameras and lighting below. All right, are you ready for the last stage? This is happening pretty quick. You're going to have a podcast before you know it. Stage 3, show workflow. Now this is where the magic really happens, like I mentioned at the first of the video. This is where you are gonna show up with content all over the place and people are gonna have no idea how you put out this much content, and you're only spending 2 days a month doing that. So this is gonna be what the workflow is gonna look like, and this is under the assumption that you have now graduated to a video podcast. But you can also do a very similar workflow with an audio-only podcast. So this is what it looks like. 1 day in a month, you're going to plan out 4 podcast episodes. That includes doing some keyword research, a little market research, and then making at least outlines, and in some cases, full scripts for 4 podcast episodes, depending on if it's a scripted or unscripted podcast. Then the following day, you will record all 4 of those episodes. This is actually the same thing that we do for our podcast, Content Jefe, and you can check that podcast out by clicking on the I button thingy here. We actually batch record, is what this is called, and we'll change outfits for each episode that day that we record. So you gather all of that footage, the audio that you recorded and the video that you recorded, and you upload it to the G Drive or some type of file sharing Dropbox. And then you would work with a video editor. This is key. If you're going to be editing your own videos and podcast episodes, then you're going to have to add many more days to your monthly workflow, and that's just not feasible as a professional, as a business person. However, it is understandable that you have to do it yourself to start with, and we actually encourage and assign our students to edit their first few episodes so that they understand the nuances of editing and they know how to speak the language with their editor that we help them to find and to actually start working with. So an editor is key. And the second person that could be key to really bring on and delegate and help you build your business would be a community manager or someone to actually post all of this content for you and optimize it and repurpose it for you. And that's how you can really get to that 2 days a month, like what we do for our Content Jefe podcast. What's really great here is when your editor is going to cut your podcast episodes up for a video podcast, that audio portion of that is going to be perfect for an audio podcast podcast too, just by the nature of the edit. It will sound great for an audio podcast. And then if you use a hosting site like Anchor, which is what we do for Content Hefe, Anchor is owned by Spotify and allows you to upload those video podcast episodes so that you can have a video podcast on Spotify. And then in addition to having that video podcast on Spotify, Anchor will also distribute the audio portion of that podcast to all of the other players like Apple and Google Podcasts. And then that same video file that you've uploaded to Anchor, you can upload to YouTube. So now you have a full-length video podcast on both YouTube and Spotify. And then while your video editor's at it, each episode for each week, they can take 5 clips and turn them into vertical video clips to share on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. This is amazing, and I find that podcast episodes with the podcast microphone and sort of the casual conversation that happens inside of podcast episodes make for some of the best short video material. And that's it. So let's just review what's really going on here in terms of how this is going to impact your content marketing strategy and your business. You are tackling the 2 main types of content that are so important: long format content and short format content. Short format content is perfect for lead capture, to get your content in front of a lot more people. That's great, but then we need the long format content to nourish those relationships, to build that know, like, trust factor, to actually lead people and encourage and excite people to make those decisions to purchase from us. A podcast will give you a weekly long format video podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and a long format audio only podcast on Apple Podcast and Google. But then it also gives you that writing that you did and all the planning with the outlining, or even if you want to make a transcript from those episodes, gives you all that writing that you can use for your important long form written content like email marketing and blog posts. And then over here, that same podcast, that same effort, that same work is also giving you 5 vertical videos to post on 3 different platforms. And if you have a really good editor and a great community manager, then all of that work is done for you. You just do 2 days of content creation and just sit back and watch your content work on autopilot to generate leads, to build a little brand recognition, and to nourish relationships with your existing leads. I hope you found this video so helpful, and I hope you don't wait any longer and you take that leap and you jump right into this content creation. You're gonna love it. You're gonna have so much fun. It's gonna take you a little practice to get up to that 2 days a week, so plan for that. You are gonna have to get into the apps. You're gonna have to play around with the camera, play around with the mic positioning, and learn how to get better recordings. But practice is gonna make you better. Your first recordings might not sound that good. Don't let perfectionism keep you from being good and putting out decent content when you're first starting. Just get started and let us know when you do. Let us know the name you decide on for your podcast, and especially let us know your launch date or when your podcast launches. You can find us on Instagram at Pod Sound School. Tag us on Instagram and we will reshare your posts. We will promote your new show when it comes out on our end. We're here to see you take your content and your business places. And if you want to take an even deeper dive into video podcasting and you're certain that you want to come out of the gate strong, incorporating a camera from day one, make sure you check out this video that I made here, and that will really make you a video podcasting expert.